You're listening to Keep Sports News. Did y'all hear that? The ice maker. Alright guys, welcome to KSN episode 65. And this episode will be shorter. Okay. But I think I've said that before, and it turns out those episodes were longer. So, I got some things I want to say here. First, I want to apologize for releasing the last episode, because normally my episodes are on Mondays and Fridays, right? Well, on Monday, I didn't have time to record Monday's episode, so I did it the following day, Tuesday. The plan was for me to release that video on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, because you can schedule what time you want to release your videos. For whatever reason, the video was stuck on processing. Yeah. I thought it would be ready by then, but I don't know why. Because, I was sleeping. I was sleeping while the video was uploading. Remember, I would record these late at night before I go to sleep instead of waking up and then record and then go to work. So, yeah. So when I came home, I checked and it was still stuck on processing. So I was like, I'm just going to have to delete it and re-upload it. And that's what I did. I didn't release the video until like 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, so I apologize for the late upload. So I did put a comment in that video, so hopefully that won't happen again. I'll make sure to upload this as soon as I'm done. And maybe it was a speed upload, the upload speed, because when your upload speed is very low, that means it'll take a lot longer to upload a video. And when you try to live stream, it's not going to go well. The stream will not go well if your upload speed is low. So maybe that's the issue. Speaking of live streams, that's right. Last night, I went live. And thankfully, the upload speed wasn't low. I was live streaming myself watching a CFL game between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Five Tayer's favorite team, against my favorite team, the Montreal Alouettes. And that is the main reason why I decided to live stream me watching that game. And that is where we'll begin. So, I missed the beginning of the game on TV, and that was because I was getting some Domino's pizza. Yes, I got Domino's pizza because TSN, Domino's Pizza is one of the sponsors on TSN, and I would get Domino's Pizza for the Grey Cup game in November. We're less than 3 months until we get to the Grey Cup. So I did a short, a KSN update, letting you guys know, hey, I'm going to start the stream a little late. Got some Domino's Pizza. However, even though I missed the beginning of the game, I got to listen to the beginning of the game on Sirius XM. So I didn't really miss any. So, yeah. So I got home, started the stream, and the stream went well. The game itself, not so well for the Alouettes. Yep. So yeah, I watched majority of the game. I didn't know what to expect. I did pick the Alouettes to win because I'm like, well, they can't lose 4 in a row, And they're the home team. And I'm like, all right, at some point they got to win, I did pick them to win, but I wasn't confident. I thought this game could go either way. And I said for those of you that tuned in for the stream, thank y'all very much. That means y'all are big fans of this channel. Without you guys, I probably wouldn't do that stream. So, yeah. Where shall I begin? Yeah, I didn't thought this game. I wasn't confident on which team would win. I did say in the stream that it was more of a must-win for the Blue Bombers because they're in the West Division. They're behind the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Montreal Alouettes, they're behind the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're in second place. Remember, there's 9 teams in the CFL. 5 teams in the West Division, and 4 teams in the East Division. So every week, a team gets a bye. Every team gets 3 byes. And that's how it works. And in the playoffs, there's 6 out of the 9 teams get into the playoffs. It's not 4 teams like it is in the UFL, you know. So, So yeah, I did predict the Alouettes would win in a close one. So this was the last Thursday night CFL game of the season. I looked at the future schedule. This is week 12 this weekend. Next weekend, week 13, no Thursday night game, no Friday night game, no Saturday game. We have a Sunday night game and 2 games on Labor Day Monday. Yeah, 3 teams have a bye next weekend. And then the weekend after that, that's when the first NFL Thursday night football begins. The first Thursday in the month of September. So that's why no more Thursday night CFL games after the game last night. All right. So, the game was close in the first half. It was 16-10, Blue Bombers. The third quarter, not much happened. Alouettes kicked a field goal. The Winnipeg kicker, Castillo, he's like the greatest kicker. So it's almost like, he can kick it really, really far. The weather was nice. And the fourth quarter was all Blue Bombers. They got 10 points. And the Alouettes, they went for it. And I thought they would. They probably should have punted the ball. This was like, I want to say 6 or 5 minutes left into the game. So they went for it and they didn't make the fourth down. Or the third down, excuse me. Remember, 3 downs in the Canadian football. So the Blue Bombers took over. And it looked like they were going to score again. They scored another field goal to make it 26-13. And the Alouettes, they were running out of time. Quarterback threw a deep pass and it was intercepted, and that's how the ball game pretty much came to an end. The Blue Bombers won 26-13. Alouettes don't have their starting quarterback, Alexander. Alexander was on the sidelines with their head coach. What's his name? Jason Moss, I think? Let me check if that's his name here. Yep, that's his name. So yeah, another home loss for the Alouettes, unfortunately. So now the Blue Bombers are 6-4, and the Alouettes are 5-6. I still think the Alouettes will make the postseason, the playoffs. Now they have more losses than wins. And at the beginning of the season, they look like they're the best team. Until after they lost to Hamilton. And then Hamilton started winning like 4 games in a row, and then they became the best team. Now the best team is the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So, yeah, there's still like 2 months left of the regular season. So a lot can still change, all right? Okay. And now the Alouettes, they're not going to play next weekend, so I think they need a bye. Hopefully Alexander will get it. I wish Alexander a speedy recovery. I don't know how bad the injury is. Speaking of injuries, Chad Kelly, the Argonauts quarterback, he has yet to play this season, and the defending Grey Cup champions are 2-8. They have the worst record. Like, that's probably the most surprising thing this season, I think. When's the last time that happened? A defending Grey Cup champion team has a bad record, you know? All right. Friday Night Football. The Edmonton Elks against the Ottawa Red Blacks. I believe, yeah, these two teams, they met earlier in the season, and I think the Red Blacks won? Let me check. The game was in Edmonton. Let me check. No. Elks won 39-33. This was back on July 6th. Now they meet again, this time in Ottawa. This game could go either way. I guess I'll go with the Red Blacks. Red Blacks are going to get revenge on those Elks. And then tomorrow afternoon, the BC Lions against the Toronto Argonauts. I don't know if Chad Kelly is going to play in this game, or he may not play at all, considering their win-loss record. Now they pretty much have to win the rest of their games if they can make the playoffs. All right, I'll go with the Argonauts. The home team, I guess. And then the big game, the last game, is the big one. It's a must-see game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 8-1, against the Calgary Stampeders, 6-3 at Calgary. Get this, the Roughriders' one loss was against the Stampeders in Regina. Now they meet again in Calgary. This game can also go either way, but the way the Roughriders are playing, they seem like they're an unstoppable team, and they're going to get revenge on the Stampeders. So I'm going to go with the Roughriders to win this one. I'm not too confident, though, but I think they can win by, I don't know, a touchdown or maybe by a field goal. Will it be high scoring or low scoring? Maybe both teams will score, I don't know, maybe 27-17. I guess that's my score prediction. I normally don't predict the score. I would usually predict the scores in like the playoffs or the championship game. Also, I'm not going to be able to watch that game live because I'm going to hang out with some friends. But usually TSN would show the late night replay. So if they show the late night replay, then I'll be able to watch that if I don't get spoiled. Yeah, that's what I did. The Friday night game last week, week 11, between the Toronto Argonauts and the Edmonton Elks, they showed the late night game. But if they show the late night game, they might show the Lions Argonauts game first, because that's the afternoon game. But then after that game, they'll probably show the Rough Riders Stampeders game. If I decided to stay up all night, I don't know. If not, then I guess I'll just watch the highlights. All right, that is the rest of my Week 12 predictions of the Canadian Football League. So, The last episode was called UFC moving to Paramount Plus and WWE moving to ESPN. Well, the other day I got some news, some big news for the WWE. It turns out we're not going to wait until next year for the premium live events to be on ESPN, streaming on the ESPN. Apparently it's not called ESPN Plus. It's just called ESPN. I don't know why, but it's basically like ESPN Plus, but it's a little different. You have to pay $30 a month. And a lot of people are not happy about that. Because on Peacock, when it was on Peacock, we had to pay less. And when it was on WWE Network, it was even more less. WWE Network, $9.99. $10 a month. And then when they moved to Peacock, I don't know if it was still $9.99 a month because I pay for Peacock Premium. Peacock Premium is like YouTube Premium. No ads. No ads whatsoever. So I pay extra for Peacock. I pay like $15 a month. Same with YouTube Premium. I think YouTube Premium is about 13 or 14, so around that amount. But this new deal with ESPN, you have to pay double, a little more than double a month. And that's why people are not happy. I'll admit, when they moved to Peacock, it was in the spring of 2021. When they announced that, I didn't like that. Because at the time, I really liked the WWE Network. So when they moved to Peacock, I didn't like it because it wasn't the same. But then, over the years, I got into Peacock, and that's how I got Peacock Premium. And I got used to it. I enjoyed it. But now I'm also disappointed because it's no longer going to be on Peacock, the premium live events. So I assume all of the old stuff, like the old premium events, the pay-per-views, are they still going to be on Peacock? I hope so. Because I watch that old wrestling on a weekly basis. I don't want to pay $30 a month just to watch old and new wrestling, you know? They're doing it for the money, obviously. WWE's like the new NFL. Why is the NFL doing this and that? It's because of the money. It is what it is, man. Am I going to get this new ESPN streaming? No. And another thing is I'm not a huge fan of today's WWE anyways. So I'll probably just watch the highlights or I'll listen to Busted Open and the other wrestling podcasts. Because I do follow those. I don't listen to every episode on those podcasts, but I would listen to like at least once a week, once or twice a week. Mainly the Tuesday episode because they would recap Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, this is real news. And I actually read about this the other night. And this new ESPN streaming service, or whatever you call it, they just launched it on August 20th or August 21st. So just like a day or two ago. And apparently, Fox Sports has their own as well. It's called Fox One. And theirs released on the same date. What the heck is going on? I don't know, man. I think I did mention this before. $30 a month, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I know, ESPN, you get NFL stuff, you get all this other stuff, but there are people that not everyone watches every sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everyone watches multiple leagues. Some people only watch one league, or maybe two. But, like, I'm speaking for the fans, the WWE fans that only watch WWE live programming. Meaning they're not NFL fans. They're not MLB fans. You know, they're just WWE fans. That's why they're unhappy. Because they don't watch other sports. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm sure there's a lot of WWE fans that are also NFL fans. But not everyone's like that. You know? There should be like an option or like a deal. Hey, you want to only watch WWE stuff? Okay, you have to pay $12.99. Okay. Cool. Everyone would be cool with that. Nope. Got to pay $29.99 a month. I wish there should be an option. Okay, pick the leagues that you follow, that you want to watch, and then we'll make a deal for you. You know what I'm saying? If you want to watch only NFL, okay, here you go. Here's the amount you pay per month. You want to only watch WWE? All right, here is your deal. If you want to have everything, pay $29.99 plus tax. Okay? That's why people are unhappy. Not everyone watches every sport, you know? I'll have to hear what the Busted Open guys have to say about that. I have yet to hear anyone's opinions on that except for two YouTubers. So, I mean, I'm not pissed off because I'm not a big WWE fan. I'm just speaking for the big fans out there. WWE is bigger than ever. They just had the first two-night SummerSlam. I watched that. I didn't watch all of the matches. I only watched the ones that I was interested in, and I enjoyed it. I find it entertaining. I'd say it was their best premium live event or events of the year. I say it was better than WrestleMania. So, yeah, UFC's really moving to Paramount Plus next year. So I guess that means they're leaving ESPN, and now WWE's going to ESPN. Is the MLB leaving ESPN? I hope not. I've always liked the MLB on ESPN personalities on there. They're my favorite. I like listening to that podcast, Baseball Tonight with Buster Only. Although I'll admit, I haven't listened to that in a while because I was kind of taking a break from listening to podcasts. Kind of like when I took my break. You know who's on break again? My number one favorite podcast, Mad Dog Unleash, with Christopher Mad Dog Russo. He's not going to be back on the air until the day after Labor Day, Tuesday, September the 2nd. And that's also when Stephen A. Smith comes back to Sirius XM. His new show will begin on Tuesday, September the 2nd, the day after Labor Day. So I'm looking forward to hear his new show. So, yeah. And speaking of ESPN, I have the ESPN app. It's free. You get, a bunch of notifications on the leagues that you follow. And they got podcasts on there where you can listen to that for free. Okay, so the big news that happened earlier the other day is college football news. Okay, college football news. I heard this on the Paul Feinbaum Show. The Paul Feinbaum Show is the SEC football show. It's on the ESPN app, Sirius XM, and on TV on the SEC network. So I was listening to that. And he said, breaking news. Next year, 2026 season, the SEC will have 9 conference games. 9 conference games beginning next year. And they had Greg Sankey on, the SEC commissioner. So my thoughts on that, that's cool. Because this is like a new era. The new era kind of began last year when the SEC on ABC. I really like the SEC on ABC, the presentation. That's really like last year, those were like the only kind of games I would watch, SEC games on ABC. Before that, it was on CBS, and I got sick of it on CBS. It started to irritate me, so I'm glad it's no longer on CBS. Now CBS gets Big Ten football, and I think the Mountain West Conference, Conference USA. Speaking of CBS, I think I heard that this will be Gary Danielson's final year as a broadcaster. For whatever reason, a lot of people don't like Gary Danielson. I don't know why. I guess they find him obnoxious, but I've always liked him. I really liked him when he was with Vern Lundquist. That was my favorite old college football announced team. Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson. And then Vern stepped down, and he got replaced by Brad Nessler. And I like Brad Nessler, but I liked him more when he was on ESPN. Brad Nessler used to be on ESPN, and I liked him more on there. So, yeah. But yeah, the SEC on ABC, I like the announcers on there. So yeah, they would usually have 3 games. The early game, the afternoon game, and the evening game. So, yeah, 9 conference games. And now there's like 16 teams in the SEC. Let me see if I can name all of them. Okay, the 2 new teams that joined last year, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. I think I counted 15. Am I missing one? Kentucky. Yeah, 16 teams. 16 teams in the SEC. Back then, before Texas and Oklahoma joined, they had the East Division and the West Division. Now they got rid of that. There's no divisions. Top 2 teams, they go to the SEC championship game. And I like that. I like that. Because for years, the West Division the West Division was so much better than the East Division. The only good team in the East Division was Georgia. Sometimes Florida's pretty good. So, yeah. Now Texas. Texas apparently is the number 1 team to begin the season. Okay. They're going to be taking on Ohio State, the defending national champions. Not this weekend, next weekend. Week 1. That's crazy. The biggest game for both Texas and Ohio State is their first game. Isn't that crazy? That's like a national championship preview. Who knows? They might meet again in the championship. I'm down for that. I'm down for a rematch. The game's in Columbus. It's not at a neutral field. It's in Columbus, Ohio. Big noon game on Fox with Gus Johnson. Who is his partner? I think it's Joel Klatt. And Joel Klatt, he's also a UFL announcer on Fox with Kurt Menefee. So, yeah. Technically, college football season begins tomorrow. There's a few games tomorrow. The only big game is the early game between Iowa State and Kansas State. That game's in Ireland on ESPN. Will I watch it? Probably not. If I remember, I might tune in. I think I watched the year before or the year before that. It was I think it was Notre Dame played against Florida State. Yeah, but the following weekend, the last weekend of August, also for Labor Day weekend, I'll watch more college football games because no CFL games on Friday night and Saturday. So yeah, that gives me more football games to watch. I'm probably gonna become a football junkie. I'm probably going to become a football junkie. So yeah. Anyways, that's the big news. Let me see here on the ESPN app. I was kind of going through some of the notifications during the halftime of the CFL game. Yes, I know we got the Little League World Series. I used to follow that. Not anymore. I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things that I got into as a youngster. It's like, juniors in hockey and tennis. Same thing, sort of. Wow. Okay, this is my first time looking at this notification. Tennis player, legendary tennis player, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. Novak Djokovic delivers first pitch at Yankee Stadium, poses with Aaron Judge. Oh, I want to see that video. It makes sense. It makes sense why he's there because the U.S. Open tennis tournament begins on Monday. Ooh, that's the big thing next week. Speaking of the U.S. Open, apparently they had this mixed doubles tournament. The winning team gets $1 million. I sort of wanted to follow some of that, but I didn't get to watch any of it because it was during the daytime. I wasn't at home, and I don't have YouTube TV anymore, so I can't record it. And unfortunately, none of the, like say ESPN2 for example, they didn't get to show the replay. Oh well, I'm sure I can find highlights on YouTube. Plus, I mainly watch singles tennis. Anyways, okay. I wonder if, yeah, we'll see how he does. We'll see how Novak does in the U.S. Open. And Yannick Sinner, the number one player in the world, got injured in the Cincinnati Open final. We'll see how he does. I assume he's going to be in the U.S. Open. I don't think his injury is major. I hope not. So we'll see what happens. I thought the U.S. Open would begin this past Monday, but I guess it was the qualifying and then the mixed doubles ESPN was showing. In my opinion, I think it should have started this past Monday because for the finals, like the men's final, you don't have to compete against the NFL Sunday. If it were to start this past Monday, then the men's final would have been on Sunday, August 31st. You're not going to compete with the NFL because there's no NFL games on that Sunday. They should have thought of that. Have it a week earlier, But no, you're going to compete against the first. They're going to do this again, They're going to compete against the first Sunday NFL game. NFL Sunday. Okay, good luck. Because a lot of times the NFL wins. Maybe that's why the WWE doesn't want to compete against Sunday Night Football anymore. They would have their premium live events on Saturday. It kind of makes sense. Okay. Last news from Jeff Passan. Veteran reliever Craig Kimbrel is signing with the Houston Astros. A source tells ESPN he'll be joining their big league team. He is the closer. I remember he was with the Boston Red Sox. That was when he was at his best. So we'll see how he does there. And I guess that's pretty much it, folks. So yeah, shorter episode. And I should be back on Monday. So have a great weekend, folks. Enjoy your sports weekend. See you on Monday for the beginning of the United States Open Tennis Tournament.
Thank you for listening to Keith's